The backyard was the kind of peaceful that only came around once in a while. A soft breeze lifted the corners of the tablecloths, the grill hissed, and laughter floated like music above the creak of lawn chairs and the clink of forks on plastic plates. Talia moved through the crowd like sunlight. She wore a pale blue dress that hugged her softly, gold bangles catching the afternoon glow. Her hands were full, plates, lemonade, kisses on cheeks, but her eyes kept drifting toward one person, her husband, Jarrell. He stood near the grill, cracking jokes with Uncle Royce and slapping hands with cousins. But Talia saw what no one else noticed. His phone face down, his glances too fast, and the way his voice softened almost involuntarily when Sienna laughed. Sienna, her younger sister, half-braided hair over one shoulder. That mustard sundress again. Sitting too close, laughing too loud, lips glossed and legs crossed like an invitation. Talia had been trying not to see it, not really. But the body knows. The stomach clenches when it hears something the heart's still denying. Inside the house, Carmen stood by the kitchen window. Watching, she stirred the potato salad once, then again, like muscle memory. She was still, too still. She hadn't touched her wine. Her jaw flexed each time Sienna touched Jarrell's arm. It had started with glances. Everyone thought that's where it would end. It didn't. 3 months ago, rain, a flat tire. Jarrell drove Sienna home. She made him laugh. She touched his thigh and didn't move it. That night, in the back seat of his car, their bodies moved like they were starving. It was fast, wrong, and real. The next time, it wasn't raining. They met in a hotel, a cheap one, the kind you pay for with cash. Jarrell whispered, "It doesn't feel like cheating when I'm with you." Sienna said, "That's because you were never really hers." The guilt came afterward, but it came in soft waves, easy to ignore, the kind you could walk right through if you didn't look down. Now here they were, a Sunday barbecue, chicken sizzling, kids playing tag. Talia bent near Jarrell, whispered, "Where's your phone?" He blinked. Inside, charging. She stared at him for a moment too long. Right. Back in the kitchen, Carmen leaned on the counter, phone in hand. She had screenshots, messages, a photo. Jarrell's hand on Sienna's thigh in a gas station parking lot. Carmen had been watching for weeks, and now she was waiting. Later that evening, after the table was cleared and music played low from someone's Bluetooth speaker, Talia noticed Sienna disappear inside the house. A minute later, Jarrell followed. Carmen noticed too. Her jaw tightened. Talia stood slowly, walked through the house. The hallway light was dim, the air heavy. She heard voices from the guest bedroom. She stepped closer, slow. "You told me you loved me," Sienna whispered. "I do," Jarrell said. "But I can't keep this up." She's starting to see it. "She's your wife," Sienna hissed, "but I'm carrying your child." Silence. "You don't get to walk away," she snapped. Talia stepped back from the door, hand over her mouth. Her knees almost gave out, but she didn't cry. She walked to the kitchen. Carmen was there, waiting. "You knew," Talia said softly. "You knew and didn't tell me." Carmen looked at her daughter. "I was waiting for you to be ready." "I'm ready now." Outside, Jarrell and Sienna rejoined the group, laughing like nothing had happened. Talia emerged moments later, face composed, holding a bowl of cut watermelon. Her smile didn't reach her eyes. Carmen called everyone to the table, said she wanted to pray. "Before we eat dessert," she said, "I'd like to thank God for family, for truth, and for the wisdom to see what's been hidden." People murmured amen. Some nodded. Talia didn't speak. She just stared at her husband, at her sister. Her voice, when it came, was steady. I have something to say, too. Jarrell shifted in his chair. Sienna froze mid-bite. Talia stepped forward. You know what I hate most, she said quietly. Not the cheating, not even the lies. It's that you thought I was too stupid to see it. What are you talking about? Jarrell started. Don't, she snapped. Don't insult me with more lies. Sienna stood. Talia, this isn't the time. No, Talia said, turning to her. The time was 3 months ago when you spread your legs in my husband's car. Gasps. Plates scraped. Chairs shifted. Jarrell stood. Talia, calm down. Don't tell me to calm down. You slept with my sister. You put a baby in her. You stood in my house, in my bed. Carmen rose from her seat. Enough. But Talia's hands were shaking. You humiliated me. Both of you. And you, she turned to Carmen, you watched it happen and said nothing. You protected them. I protected you, Carmen said. No, Talia whispered. You betrayed me too. Then suddenly a blur. The drawer slammed open. Metal glinted. Someone screamed, Talia! Talia raised the gun. Jarrell froze. Put it down, please. Sienna backed into the fence. Talia, please don't. You said you loved me, Talia said, voice breaking. And then you looked at her like she was your home. I made a mistake, Jarrell said, hands raised. It meant nothing. She's pregnant, Talia said. Is that nothing? Carmen stepped forward. Talia, baby, don't do this. Don't let them take more from you than they already have. But her grip tightened. Jarrell stepped closer. Just give me the gun. Let's talk. Like you talked behind my back. 1 breath, 2. Sienna screamed, she's crazy. Talia turned. And you? You smiled in my face, called me sister, held my child. I didn't mean to fall for him, Sienna said, crying now. It just happened. And now you're going to die for it. No. The first shot rang out like thunder. Jarrell dropped. The second caught Sienna in the stomach. She crumpled near the fence, gasping. Carmen screamed, rushing forward. Stop, she cried. Talia turned, tears streaming. I needed you to protect me, she said. She pulled the trigger a third time. Carmen collapsed, eyes wide, reaching. Then silence. The gun dropped to the grass. Somewhere a child cried. Talia stood in the center of it all, the table overturned, blood on her dress, the smell of barbecue and gunpowder in the air. And still, no one moved. Not until sirens screamed in the distance.
If you're enjoying this story, kindly do us a favor and subscribe to our channel. It is free and won't cost anything, but it means the world to us. We're just a small channel trying to grow. Thank you, and back to the video.
The yard was taped off before sunset. Blue and red lights painted the side of the house, flickering across crumpled plates and half-melted ice cream cups. The laughter that once hung in the air had curdled into a silence so dense it crushed the breath out of anyone who entered it. Detective Daryl Monroe stepped under the yellow tape with a notepad, a pen, and the weight of 15 years of murder scenes tucked inside the quiet way he walked. He didn't rush. He never did. He looked at the overturned folding chair, at the faint steam still rising from Jarrell's body. He looked at Carmen's hand still reaching toward her daughter, or maybe away. He looked at Sienna's body, curled like something trying to protect itself, even in death. But mostly he looked at Talia. She sat on the porch steps, hands in her lap, blood drying on her arms. Her face was unreadable, not shocked, not remorseful, just hollow, like her body was still here, but everything inside had fled. He crouched beside her. "My name's Detective Monroe," he said. "I need to ask you some questions." Talia blinked once, slowly. "I already told the officer what happened." "I need you to tell me." She turned her head. Her lips were dry. "I shot them." "Why?" "They left me no choice." Darrell nodded, then stood. He didn't argue with her. Not yet. He just took in the scene. The voices of responding officers murmured through the yard. A little boy clung to his aunt's leg, confused. Someone sobbed into a towel. Inside, Darrell sat at the kitchen table with Talia 15 minutes later. An officer took photos of the blood trail leading through the house. "I need to understand the full story," he said gently. "Start wherever it makes sense." Talia inhaled slowly. Her voice trembled. "They were having an affair. My husband. My sister. 4 months." Darrell didn't blink. "You found out today?" "I suspected, but I heard them last week in the guest bedroom." "And today?" "They acted like everything was normal. Like I was stupid. She was pregnant with his baby. They were smiling, laughing." Darrell watched her closely. "And your mother?" "She knew. She didn't tell me. She said she was waiting for me to be ready." Outside, 2 officers zipped up the body bags. Darrell watched them through the window, then turned back to Talia. "Can you tell me where the gun came from?" "Kitchen drawer." "Was it yours?" "It was my father's. My mother kept it after he passed. She said it made her feel safe." Darrell paused. "Did you intend to kill them when you went to the drawer?" Talia looked down at her hands. "I intended to make them feel what I felt." Down the block, a small crowd had formed. Neighbors, mostly. A few cell phones recording, but most just staring. Some with pity, some with judgment. Back at the scene, Darrell walked the yard. Every detail mattered. The spacing between the bodies, the direction the blood pooled, the proximity to the table where the confrontation happened. It told him more than Talia was saying. Inside, he spoke with Uncle Royce. "Did you witness the shooting?" Darrell asked. Royce shook his head. "I was in the bathroom when it started. I heard the yelling, ran out and saw Jarrell drop." "Do you know about the affair?" His eyes dropped. "There were rumors." Darrell moved on to another witness. Sienna's friend, Bree. "I told her not to mess with him," Bree whispered, shaking. "She was obsessed. Said she loved him more than life." "Did she say anything today?" "She said she was going to tell Talia that she couldn't lie anymore." That changed things. Darrell jotted the note. "When did she say that?" "Right before dinner. She was pacing on the porch. Kept saying, 'I'm gonna do it. She deserves to know.'" The pieces were already shifting. Back in his office that night, Darrell pulled up phone records. Jarrell and Sienna had exchanged over 700 messages in the past 3 months. He flagged one thread, the night before the barbecue. "Sienna, she knows something. I see it in her eyes." "Then don't push her, so lay low." "I'm tired of hiding." "Jarrell, you're going to ruin everything." He stared at that line. Ruin everything. He knew what that meant in 100 different variations. It always meant someone was about to break. The next day, Darrell returned to the house. The yard was empty now. Tape fluttered like a warning whispered too late. Inside, he sat across from Talia again. "Did your sister threaten to tell you before you pulled the trigger?" Talia didn't answer. I spoke to her friend. She was planning to confess. Still, silence. Daryl leaned forward. Is that why you shot her first? Talia's eyes flicked up, sharp. I didn't shoot her first. Who did you shoot first? Her voice cracked. Why him? Talia stared past him. Because he made me forget who I was. That answer didn't explain it all, but Daryl knew better than to press too fast. The autopsy results came in 2 days later. Jarrell, shot once, close range, chest cavity, instant death. Sienna, shot from a short distance but not immediate. Carmen, shot at the closest range of all. That told him something important. Carmen didn't just get in the way. She was the final shot, after Jarrell was dead, after Sienna was dying. Daryl returned one last time. Why did you shoot your mother? He asked. Talia's lips parted. Because she told me not to. What do you mean? She saw me holding the gun. She looked me in the eye, and she said, "Don't become what they made you." Daryl whispered, and Talia exhaled. I already had. The arrest was calm. She didn't resist. At her arraignment, she wore gray, hair pulled back. The judge denied bail. The courtroom was packed. Some whispered, some stared. One woman crossed herself and wept. Daryl watched from the back. He still had questions, but he knew this much. The gun wasn't the start of the violence. It was the punctuation at the end of a long, ugly sentence. The betrayal had been slow, surgical in how it unstitched Talia from everything that once made her whole. And somewhere in that unthreading, she chose the thing that couldn't be undone. The jail was quiet, except for the distant clang of a closing cell door. Talia sat alone in the attorney booth, eyes swollen from sleep she hadn't earned. Her public defender, Marissa Lane, set down a folder without speaking. After a long pause, she said the DA is going for first-degree murder. All 3. Talia didn't flinch. She just said, okay. They'll try to prove premeditation, Marissa continued, especially with the weapon coming from inside the house. Talia whispered, I didn't go to that drawer planning to kill. I went there because I didn't want to scream. Marissa studied her. We can build a case. Temporary insanity. Psychological trauma. But we'll need to tell the jury everything. Talia shook her head. Some things they don't need to know. Outside the booth, Detective Daryl Monroe was already 3 steps ahead. He'd pulled Carmen's phone from the evidence locker. She'd recorded everything the day of the murder, not on purpose, but by habit. Carmen had a voice recorder app she used for notes, recipes, prayers. She never turned it off. The file from that day was over 2 hours long. Daryl sat in his office, shades drawn, headphones on. The first 20 minutes were harmless. Small talk, laughter, the start of the prayer circle. Then came the kitchen scene. Carmen's voice, you think I don't see it? The way you look at her husband? Sienna, you never liked me, not since I was born. Carmen, don't flatter yourself. This isn't jealousy. This is grief, watching you destroy your sister's life and pretending it's love. The argument escalated. Then, another voice, Jarrell. Jarrell, nobody needs to know. We can fix this. We just need time. Sienna, I'm not hiding anymore. Carmen, then say it to her face. There was a pause. Then something heavy hitting the counter. A slammed cabinet. A shaky breath. Sienna again. She'll find out eventually. And when she does, it won't just be me she hates. Daryl rewound that section twice, then bookmarked it. He sent the file to the DA's office. Meanwhile, Marissa visited Talia again. "We need to talk about your mother," she said. Talia looked away. "She wasn't just an accidental casualty, Talia. She stood between you and the gun." "I know." "Did you mean to shoot her?" "I don't know what I meant." Marissa took a slow breath. Forensics came back. The baby. Talia's hands clenched. Marissa hesitated. The baby wasn't Jarrell's. Silence. "What?" "The DNA from the fetus didn't match him." Talia's throat tightened. "Then who?" Marissa slid over a copy of the report. "We're running tests. But it looks like someone else in the family. Possibly." "No," Talia said sharply. "No, no, no." Her eyes filled. "She told me it was Jarrell's. She swore." "She may have believed it," Marissa said softly. "Or maybe she was protecting someone else." Daryl had questions too. He pulled Jarrell's laptop from digital forensics. There, buried in a private folder, were deleted messages between Sienna and a name he didn't expect. Donovan Banks, Jarrell's cousin. In the thread, a fight unfolded. "I told you I'm done with this." "Donovan, you're carrying my baby. Don't pretend it's his." "Sienna, he treats me better than you ever did." "Donovan, that baby's mine and you know it." "Then why didn't you show up when I needed you?" The timeline shifted again. Sienna had been playing both men, maybe not out of malice, but out of desperation. Daryl pulled Donovan in for questioning. Donovan was slick, gold chain, fresh fade, hands folded like a man who played poker better than he prayed. "I ain't touched that girl in months," he said. "But you were sleeping with her before she got pregnant." "I ain't saying that either, but yeah, we was close." "Did Jarrell know?" "I think he suspected, but he wanted to believe he was the only one." "Why?" "Because Sienna made him feel like a man. Talia made him feel like a failure." Daryl narrowed his eyes. "And you? How did she make you feel?" Donovan smirked, like a fool. That was the first honest thing he'd said. Back in her cell, Talia held the DNA report like it might dissolve. She whispered, "Then why lie?" Marissa said, "Because truth was never what Sienna wanted. She wanted control, even if it meant twisting the knife." In court filings, the prosecution doubled down. 3 murders, no remorse, planned execution. But the defense had a new angle. Not temporary insanity. Emotional entrapment. Sienna had manipulated 2 men, lied about the paternity, provoked Talia to a breaking point she could no longer hold. The DA's office wasn't budging, but the jury pool was watching. News outlets called it the sister, the gun, and the baby that never was. Daryl listened to the final 30 seconds of Carmen's recording again. "Carmen, Talia deserves the truth, and if y'all won't give it to her, I will." "Don't do this, Mama." "Sienna, she'll kill us." "Carmen, then you better pray God gets to her first." Click. End of recording. Daryl whispered, but God didn't get there fast enough. The courtroom felt too small for the grief it held. Talia entered in gray slacks and a navy sweater, wrists shackled, chin up but trembling. Her eyes scanned the benches. Empty faces. A few whispers. A cameraman blinking red from the back corner. The world wanted blood. Or redemption. Or both. Judge Holbrook sat stone-faced at the bench. The prosecution moved quickly. 3 counts of murder. Premeditated. Calculated. No mercy shown. The defense countered with the storm of betrayal, the psychological manipulation, The years of erosion that broke a once stable woman into something unrecognizable. And then they said it. Emotional provocation and cumulative betrayal. Day 1 started with the crime scene photos. The jury shifted uncomfortably as the screen flashed Jarrell's body face down in the grass. Then Sienna. Then Carmen, eyes open, blood pooling beneath her palm like an unfinished prayer. Some jurors looked away. Others stared. Day 2 brought Donovan Banks to the stand. He swaggered into the courtroom like he owned it. But the moment he sat, the mask cracked. The prosecutor grilled him. "Did you or did you not sleep with the victim, Sienna?" Donovan smirked. "I did. A few times." "Was there a chance the child she was carrying was yours?" He hesitated. "Yeah, more than a chance." The courtroom stirred. The defense leaned forward. "Did you ever acknowledge paternity to her?" "I tried," he said. "But she didn't want that. She wanted Jarrell." "Why?" "'Cause Jarrell had a house, a wife, a future. I just had promises." A murmur rippled through the room. The judge banged the gavel. "Control your courtroom." Donovan turned to Talia. "I didn't mean for this to happen. I swear to God, I didn't know she was gonna lie." The prosecutor fired back. "But you knew she was sleeping with your cousin." "I knew," Donovan admitted, voice cracking. "I knew, and I didn't say nothing. I didn't think it would end with bodies in the dirt." Day 3 brought Bree, Sienna's closest friend. She cried as she spoke. Sienna wasn't evil. She was just desperate to be loved. She thought if Jarrell left Talia, everything would be okay. The prosecutor pounced. "Did Sienna ever say she was going to confront Talia?" "She said she couldn't lie anymore. That she was going to tell the truth, even if it destroyed everything." Talia sat motionless, eyes unfocused, but her fingers twitched in her lap. Day 4. Talia took the stand. The courtroom fell into a hush. Marissa stood beside her. "Tell the jury what happened that day. Start from when you first knew." Talia's voice was thin. "Suspected for months, but I told myself I was being paranoid, that I was just insecure." She looked at the jury. "He stopped looking at me. I'd catch him smiling at her when he didn't know I was watching. Then I found her earring in our bathroom, and I knew." Tears welled in her eyes. "I told my mother. She said she already knew. Said she was waiting for the right time. But there's never a right time to find out the two people you trust most have been lying in your bed inside your home." The prosecutor stepped up. "You retrieved a gun, walked outside, and shot 3 people. Is that not premeditated murder?" "No," Talia whispered. "It was heartbreak." "Heartbreak doesn't pull a trigger." "No, but betrayal does." The courtroom shifted. On day 5, something unexpected happened. The bailiff handed the judge a sealed envelope found in Carmen's purse during the property return process. Inside, a letter, handwritten, dated the morning of the barbecue. The judge read it privately, then allowed it into evidence. Marissa read it aloud. "My girls, if this is the day the truth comes out, then let it be said that I failed you both. I let silence grow like weeds between you. I saw the fire and hoped the wind would change. Talia, you are stronger than this. Do not let what they did make you forget who you are. I stayed quiet too long, but I will not die with these secrets. Sienna, if you're reading this, I hope you found peace. I don't hate you, but you brought a storm into our house and tried to dance in it barefoot. And Jarrell, I warned you. Love born in lies will never survive the light. Forgive me." "Mama," the courtroom wept. Even Judge Holbrook looked shaken. The next day, closing arguments began. The prosecutor thundered, 3 people are dead. A woman lost control and executed her family. No matter the betrayal, this was murder. The defense whispered, you're not judging a killer. You're judging a broken woman who begged for the truth and got a knife instead. And then, silence. The jury went into deliberation. Hours passed. Then the night. Then morning. Talia sat in holding, staring at her hands, dry and cracked from the metal sink. No mirror, no window, just breath and memory. Outside, the world waited. The jury returned on the 3rd day. Faces unreadable. No glances toward the gallery. Just 12 people carrying the unbearable weight of other people's pain. Talia stood, hands cuffed, as the bailiff took his place beside her. The 4 women stood, voice trembling. In the matter of State versus Talia Rowan on count 1, the murder of Jarrell Rowan, we find the defendant guilty. Talia didn't blink. On count 2, the murder of Sienna Rowan, we find the defendant guilty. Someone in the back gasped. On count 3, the murder of Carmen Rowan, we find the defendant guilty. The judge thanked the jury. The court fell still. Talia's knees buckled, just slightly. Her breath caught in her throat, the kind of breath you never fully release. Marissa reached for her arm. Outside, reporters scrambled for quotes, for sound bites. Inside, time stretched like a rubber band pulled to its limit. Judge Holbrook ordered sentencing for the following morning. That night, Talia sat alone in her cell. She pressed her forehead to the cool cinderblock wall and whispered Carmen's words back to herself. Do not let what they did make you forget who you are. But she already had. In another part of the city, Detective Daryl Monroe sat at his desk, files open, evidence bag tagged, and the photo of the 3 victims clipped together, smiling. Still alive. Still whole. He picked up the receiver and requested one last visitation. The next morning, just before sentencing, he sat across from Talia behind the glass. He said nothing at first. She stared at him, hollow-eyed, waiting. Then Daryl finally asked, if you could go back, would you still pull the trigger? Talia closed her eyes. I would walk away, she said. I'd take my child, my pride, and I'd leave them to each other. Daryl leaned forward. So why didn't you? She opened her eyes again. Because something broke in me, Detective, and no one noticed until it was too late. He studied her face. You killed 3 people, but the woman I see in front of me, it still doesn't make sense. Talia smiled bitterly. That's the thing about heartbreak. It's never logical, only loud. Moments later, the sentencing began. The judge's voice echoed through the chamber. Talia Rowan, you've been found guilty of 3 counts of murder. The court recognizes the emotional circumstances but does not excuse them. You took the law and lives into your own hands. He looked at her with something like sadness. For each count, I sentence you to 35 years to life to be served consecutively. A collective gasp. 75 years total. Talia sat down slowly. She did not cry. She looked up at the courtroom. No family left. No one waiting for her. Only empty benches and the sound of a bailiff's boots on the tile. Outside, the wind shifted. Back at the house where it all happened, a child's bike lay rusted against the fence. The barbecue pit was gone. The grass had grown wild. Nothing was the same. Everything still remembered. They say betrayal doesn't kill you, it just teaches you how to pull the trigger. But sometimes it does both. Talia Rowan didn't set out to become a killer. She set out to survive her own heartbreak. But in trying to stop the bleeding, she let the wound define her. And in the silence after the verdict, the world was left asking a single bitter question. If love could destroy her, what did it ever mean to begin with?